Is now a really good opportunity to buy older, established meme coins, or should you stay well away? I'm going to discuss that in this video, and we're going to go through some of the most well-known meme coins that exist. Let's start with Dogecoin. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I regularly upload detailed tutorials when it comes to trading meme coins. So let's start with Dogecoin. Now, with Dogecoin, we can see here that along with a lot of the other meme coins, we had a very strong move from October all the way until after the election, kind of where altcoins topped. That's where we saw Doge kind of turn around, first week of December. Okay, so that's fine. But what you need to do with these charts is you need to zoom out as much as possible. So ideally a daily chart, 2 daily, or even a weekly chart. A daily is enough here because we can get all of the price action in. And the main thing to notice, first of all, when it comes to determining whether this is a kind of longer term play, like should you invest in Dogecoin right now, is to look at the structure of the chart. And again, if you're completely brand new and you don't know anything about TA, this is very, very basic TA. What you get when price moves up in any asset is you get an impulsive move up. Then you get a correction. And then you may or may not get a next leg of an impulsive move up. That's it. And there are so many different ways to tell that things might be done. And one of the best ways is if we're moving back up. So let's say, look at this leg here. We're going to start another impulsive move potentially. But it fails here and it stops. And it kind of turns around and goes back down. So this was the all-time high. So we'll call that ATH, all-time high. And then we get this lower high here. So we never break all-time highs. This is quite bearish. And we saw that on loads and loads of altcoins. But we're also seeing that on Dogecoin. We saw an all-time high here, around 75 level. And we saw a run back here of barely 48 with a very, very sharp impulsive sell-off straight afterwards. So a few things going on here. First of all, we have a lower high, which I've just said can be very bearish. So it's quite possible Dogecoin had its all-time high, forever high, back in 2021. And all of this here is just a bear market with dead cat bounces. Next thing to look at. This move that we saw off the lows looks very corrective. Remember I showed you earlier, it's a 5-wave move to look impulsive. 3-wave moves are corrective. So if you get something like this on the way up, it's usually not a good sign. It looks quite clear that we've had a 3-wave move up. So that's the second tick that things aren't looking good for Doge. Fine. Next, after you get a 3-wave move up, if the trend is still down, the prevailing trend is down, price tends to move very fast down. It doesn't kind of correct downwards and gradually fall off. It tends to literally just go in a straight line down, if that's the prevailing trend. With Dogecoin, we saw that. Very, very strong move down. Like already off the highs. And remember, this is a more established coin, much higher market cap. It's down 67, 70% in literally a couple of months. So crazy move down. And then the next thing, so that's another thing. So impulsive move down. And then we're going into important levels. So where really the line in the sand with Dogecoin, the line in the sand was here. This high in 31st of March. When we crossed this price point, so I'll draw a horizontal line here, and we first kind of broke into it at the beginning of Feb, that's when you knew it was done. Because you got overlap there. Sometimes after this strong move, you can get a pullback where we got to around New Year's, and then we could push up from there, no problem. We didn't. We did a lower high and we failed. So again, that's 4 signs now. 4 signs that it's done for Dogecoin. So with this particular one, should you trade it on a bounce? The problem with meme coins, even larger cap ones as you're seeing now, is the bounces tend to be too weak to make it even profitable. So you can see some of these moves up. They were barely moves. They were just a little rally for a day or two, and you're barely talking 5 or 10%. For the risk of another 20, 30% swing to the downside, it's not worth it in terms of risk reward. So you always, as a trader, you have to keep risk reward in the back of your mind. Dog whiff hat was a very popular one for this cycle. And now you don't need me to explain this to you because you'll already know from our analysis of Dogecoin what's happened here. That's the all-time high. What happened here? We got a very considerable lower high, very corrective looking move up. And then what's worse is we started breaking down support levels. And the impulsive movement looks a lot stronger than the green candle movement towards the upside. And the other problem is we're so far low now, we've broken all conceivable support levels that this is obviously done. I mean, a lot of people will be like, well, you know, it's obvious now, but the learning point of this is stuff like this you could have picked up way before, back in December, January, that some of these coins were done just from the chart alone. You didn't need to do any other kind of fancy analysis at all. So if you could pick these up early when it comes to meme coin trading, this will help you, even with smaller cap meme coins, which we'll talk about in just a minute. For contrast, let's have a look at this AI16Z. You can see the high was actually in January. Now, what I'm going to do before I show you the entire chart and we analyze it in more detail, let's just have a look here at the left. Let's have a look at what was going on in November. We can see price moved up significantly from 15 million all the way to 500 million. Crazy multiples there, crazy gains. We got a big sell-off all the way back to 180 million, and we found some support there. We moved sideways. But the thing is, every time we moved up, our pullbacks, we kept making higher lows, and the pullbacks never really retraced the entire move. They're always kind of shallow. Can you see that? So as we're moving up, let's say, you know, we have a time machine. We're looking at this price live, and we're seeing very overlappy corrective price action down, and we're seeing price hold. It never dropped too low. It never completely kind of like almost looked like a mountain like that and went all the way back down. It kind of held a significantly higher lows, and then we kept pushing up more and more, and then we got all the way up to 2.5. But then what happened is we moved down, no big deal, we moved up a lot, but then we started breaking important support levels, and on any bounce we were just creating lower highs. And then this very significant 600 level, once that was broken, that means it's over, because nothing can correct 90% and then you can't expect it to turn around and go to all-time highs. Structure doesn't work like that. Again, what was happening, we were getting overlap into these price regions. So this literally, you can see here, the naked eye, full mounted up and all the way back down. And these are down so much now that from a structure point of view, it literally would make no sense for this to go back to all-time highs. The only way is to zoom out dramatically and say, you know, if it started to gather some support here, then maybe in 2029 or something, if it could reach 10 billion, this chart would make sense. So it's almost like this chart, where this is Dogecoin, but on the weekly. So if you go all the way back to like kind of 2017, 2018 on a weekly chart, and you can see mountain, up, down, dead for years, sideways, nothing happening. And then it started in another cycle. But you know, you're not going to hold something like this and wait 3-4 years just to see if it does anything again. But from a structure point of view, that's the only thing that makes sense. For it to do a final parabolic move this cycle, it needed to hold price here, 1.5, maximum maybe 1 or 800 million, and it never did that. It just broke through. Same issue with GOAT, another kind of well-known AI meme coin. Complete up and down scenario, very infrequent bounces. And the problem with the bounces is you could trade the bounces. This was a good thing to do. Trade kind of meme coins that have really been struggling and try and make a 2x on the bounce. But the problem is on the way down, as they get further and further down, look what happens to the bounces. That's the first bounce, second bounce, third bounce. And then after that, bounces become non-existent. So the bounces get less and less. It's literally like a tennis ball, and you throw it on the floor and just watch it, and it bounces slowly less and less and less. That's literally what's happening with these coins on the way down. It's not worth it at all. And the problem is that the price is down so much that it's actually not even worth it to short anymore. It's still kind of, if you get a significant bounce and you can trade off of that, but almost not worth it anyway. So a lot of these are completely stay away coins. They're completely dead meme coins, but they're so dead that the risk reward in terms of trying to trade it to the upside is not worth it. Now, a little later in the video, we'll have a look at a couple of coins that maybe still have potential. So we'll come to that in just a minute. But I hope, you know, the point's clear here. It doesn't matter what the volume is going into them. The structure tells you everything you need to know about sentiment, attention on these coins, etc. Bonk is a very similar story. All-time highs, 20th November, which was a peak actually for a lot of the major meme coins. But it was these support levels it needed to hold. A higher one here, which it never did, and then a lower one, a final kind of support here. It was like basically a must hold for it to try and do one more leg, and it never did. So it's another coin, unfortunately, that's seen its best days, I believe, that are behind it. I'm not surprised that a lot of meme coins went down, but I'm surprised a couple of them how far down they went. Like this is Chill Guy. I was actually shocked that this went down so far from 700 million and it's actually at 25 million. I was taken aback by that. And the speed at which it went down was crazy. But again, just look at the chart. Were the bounces worth it? Absolutely not. And this is the other problem, as soon as price on some of these appreciates a little bit, you get very aggressive selling. So people who are still holding positions, especially larger bags, they're aggressively selling into those pumps. So you're going to get this negative kind of selling pressure all the time as well with these coins. There are precious few that have looked even remotely like they might, bounce or do something useful we're talking about older coins here, not brand new coins. The only one that's looked okay is Farcoin, and this had a bounce from 200 million to 600, so not a bad kind of 3x there if you got into that one, and it held this kind of 180 million level, which you can see here. But again, I would argue for this one that is too far gone. It really needed to hold support at 1.5 or again maximum 1 billion. Now what you might see with this, and we saw it on WIF, is it spike and do a much higher lower high, something like a 2 billion. So if you get any kind of meaningful bounce in the older altcoins and meme coins, this might not be a bad one to keep an eye on to see if it could do something. But again, you have to be very careful. The only reason I'm eyeing it up is because of risk reward. It may be worth the trade if we get a bounce across the board. Just briefly touch on Pepe as well. Very much the same story. Key levels have been taken out here, so very likely we've seen the all-time high for Pepe. And to be honest, a nice 3-wave completed. The 3rd wave from October all the way up to May, 4th wave, and then the final push up, the final parabolic. People are saying like, oh, we didn't really see a parabolic move to end crypto. We did. Like loads and loads of coins had it. Even Solana had one where it suddenly spiked in a short period of time around Donald Trump coming into power. We saw this spike up actually, and we saw it as well here on Pepe. So kind of straight line up especially from November. Price went up there 250% in a matter of just like 2-3 weeks. And then we're done, and we're breaking up important support levels, and you can count a full kind of impulse move up. So again, it's very similar to Doge. If it's ever going to do anything again, very likely it'll be sideways doing nothing for years, and then maybe it'll go on a run. But personally, I think there's just too many coins now, millions and millions of coins that, as I've said before in my videos loads of times, like they can't all pump anymore. So in terms of older coins, you may get a few in a further cycle, but I always recommend looking at newer coins because, at the end of the day, like if you really distill it down, what is a crypto coin anyway? I mean, even the meme coins, obviously, as you know, they don't have any fundamental kind of value. The majority of them don't create any revenue. Some do, but the majority don't. So what are they? It's just attention. So what gets the most attention? Usually it's newer stuff. It's not stuff from 2023 or early 2024. So my recommendation is check out my other videos. I've linked BullX in the description below, and you'll be able to see that there. Click on that. And if you come here to Neo Vision, these are where you see the newer coins. And it's from these coins that you'll get some short-term trading opportunities, sure. But if the market does pick up, then some of these coins are the ones that will run and really do the multiples. And from a risk reward, again, it's all about risk reward. From a risk reward point of view, you're much better off putting something in a coin here that could do something at, $1 million or 2 million market cap and risk losing the 30%. But on the positive side, it might go to 10 million or 50 million. That's better in terms of risk reward than some of these older coins where as soon as they pump, people are just trying to get the hell out. So I hope that helps, but please let me know in the comment section below, are there any other older coins that you're actually holding that you believe could do well in the coming weeks and months? And I'll have a look over them myself too. Thanks for listening.